Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Welcome back.
We just want to discuss the first game back for the Celtics. Um, they played their last game last night and they lost by 7 to the Bucks, which is quite unfortunate but not surprising. Um, they played good. I mean, first half they played terrible. I mean, I forget how many points they were down by 15, almost 20 points at one point. All these guys looked pretty rusty, especially Tatum. Tatum was terrible last night. 2 for 18, I think he shot, which was not him. I don't know if it's just because he just had an off night or because he's rusty from being off. I know he's been practicing. I just don't know which thing it is. Is it from being rusty or not enough practice, or we just had an off night? Brown once again had a great night, and also Marcus Smart had a great night. He's kind of those hit and miss kind of guys. He'll either have a really good night or a really bad night. Would only score single digit points. But also he had 23 points. Brown had 22 points, which was really good. The game came down to the very end, to the wire. Of course, Giannis took over once again. It did at the end. I didn't really think the ending should have, the officiating had something to do with it. There was 2 times he should have fouled at the end of the game, and he didn't. And they showed the replay multiple times, multiple angles, and both times it should have been foul on him, but they didn't call it against him, which is, I know some players get preferential treatment, and then people say, what is that? Sorry about that. Somebody just kicked on it. So I think it would have been a big difference if he had fouled out with over 2 minutes to go left in the game. Like there's one, he's blocking foul against Smart. Should have been an offensive charging, but it wasn't. They called it against Smart, which I didn't agree with. Not many excuses shouldn't have come down to that, but it would have made a difference at the end of the game if he wasn't in the game. I don't like the blocking fouls and the charging fouls. I mean, I've never been a big fan of that. I mean, these guys can just run at somebody and knock them over, and if you don't get there in a certain amount of time, it's automatically a blocking foul against the defensive team, which I didn't really agree with. But whatever, it's always been like that. I just don't like it. Not just so much just because it's the Bucks. They wouldn't care if it's the Celtics. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter any team. I mean, LeBron James is like notorious for that. I mean, he goes charging in, and there's almost little chance of getting in front of him in time so you don't get charged for the blocking foul instead of the charging foul against the offensive player. I just don't like that. I mean, it doesn't give the defensive player much of a chance to stop these guys from scoring, because you're supposed to just stand there and just let them take the shot, or you get a blocking foul. I mean, it's really not much. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, last night, it's not like they lost by 20 points. I mean, they did put up a good fight last night. I mean, especially that this is, their first game back after, so many months of sports out and everything else. But I think since it's because it's the first game, and I understand how some of the players didn't really do really good last night, I think it's just because obviously with the officiating, and also with being 3-4 months without playing something like a sport or whatever, you're kind of rusty.
Yeah.
At first,
might be nervous too.
But I think maybe the next game or maybe the one after that, they should start getting back to their normal selves and start playing better again. I mean, it happens with everyone. I mean, in every sport. I mean, after 3-4 months, I mean, you're not going to play so good the first couple games, but after that, you just get better, and then eventually you're back to yourself again.
Yeah.
But obviously, it was just a good matchup last night. I mean, both teams are really good. Milwaukee's really good. They have a lot of great offense, a lot of good defense, or whatever. But I think it was just those two main things. Is just being off 3-4 months and the officiating that cost them the game last night.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think, I don't like to make excuses for a team saying it's the officiating, but when there's 2 different fouls within a minute of each other and both get replayed multiple times, multiple angles, and you clearly see that it's offensive and they don't call it. I don't like when the officiating has anything to do with the outcome of a game, regardless if it's the team I'm rooting for or the other team. I don't like that. It didn't help either that Kemba Walker was limited to I think 15 minutes because of they kind of trying to keep his knee strong and trying to make sure he gets healthy. So I could see where they didn't push him. So he wasn't even in the game that long. Brown got into foul trouble. Daniel Tice had a great game, but he's one of those guys that shows up and then sometimes he disappears. Like he's in the game, but they don't call his name at all. He had 12 rebounds last night, which is pretty good for him.
Yeah, he's certainly, progressing really well. He's starting to practice better, getting some more points, more rebounds and assists or whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing with what's his name, Wanamaker. I mean, he's been with the Celtics not for that long, and he also had an excellent game last night.
Yeah, he had 14 points last night, which was pretty good.
Yeah, and I certainly think that these rookie players are proven very, very well compared to how they were, like, how long they've been with the team for. I mean, because,
they didn't get to play last night, though. Edwards and Langford, they didn't play at all last night, but I think Langford, is going to be better than Edwards. I think Edwards he's a situational player. Like he's just going to keep shooting, and he's going to get probably shoot like probably 40%. He's going to take a lot of shots though. I mean, I'm not saying 40% is terrible, but when you get a rookie that just keeps chucking them up. Although during the little preseason they had, he was passing the ball more, which is a good sign that he's not just looking for a shot for himself.
I agree.
I'm looking forward to seeing how Langford does if and when he gets the opportunity. Obviously, who knows how much time he's going to get this season because the season's going to be short, and plus to get the playoffs. So they're of course going to put Brad Stevens going to put the best players in there at the time. I was surprised that Robert Williams didn't play last night. He didn't play. He's been off. He was even up before the whole COVID thing started. He was. I forget what the issue was. I think he had maybe a concussion and a knee problem. I'm trying to remember what the injury was, but he was out for quite a while. So I was kind of hoping he would get in there because they really need a guy who could step in. There was a lot of talent for the center position because Tice is not. He's good, but like I said, he's hit or miss. Like, he'll be good for a game or two and then disappear for a game or two and then come back. I mean, I don't know. They just need they think they need a true center who's got talent. And Robert Williams, I think he has it, but
he's one of those players that I want to see be out there because throughout his college career, some of his teammates when he used to play in college are he's really good at a center position. He's just one of the greatest ever.
Oh, it's not the greatest ever. He's
not
the
greatest.
Ever. He was good. He was a decent center. I mean, I wouldn't say he was spectacular. A lot of teams would try to get him. I don't know. Sometimes I think he just needs a little more time, but I think he can be better. He's showed a lot of flashes this season. It's up until he got hurt. He seems to get injuries fairly easily. I thought Gordon Hayward played pretty good last season. Not spectacular. The traditional Gordon Hayward gets 17 points. He's not going to do 30, 40 points on average. It's like 20, 24 points a game. Yeah. But I think he played pretty good last night. They all played good except for the first half. But they managed. It shows that they were a decent team because they climbed back into this one. I mean, the Milwaukee got a run away where they destroyed. I mean, they were down early by a lot, but they clawed their way back into it and ended up losing by 7. Would the officiating made a difference? Part of me wants to think so, but again, it shouldn't have come down to the last 2 minutes of a game. I mean, it would have been good if they somehow managed to beat Milwaukee because I think they've only beat Milwaukee once or twice this season.
Yeah.
So Milwaukee seems to have their number. I think it's because Milwaukee's a really good team. I mean, Giannis usually just takes over a game. It is very difficult to stop him. And I mean, some of these there was other talented players on the team, but he's like the main player of the team, and if you can stop him, you can beat the Bucks. But he's very hard to stop. I think you got to get him to shoot from the outside more. When he's not driving to the hoop, it's the defense has a hard time keeping up with him.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to do it. We're looking forward to the next game. I'm not sure who they're playing next. I got to look. I forget who they said they were playing. But looking forward to it. I'm glad sports are best. Who knows if it's going to keep going.
They're playing the Trailblazers next.
Oh, that's right.
Tomorrow.
So we're going to watch that game, see how they do. I mean, I hope just that where they're in the bubble down there in Orlando, that nobody gets sick and they keep this going. Other sports are having a difficult time staying healthy. So we're gonna keep watching and keep doing some of these videos because we like to. So
Yeah.
I think it's gonna wrap it up. If you guys like this video, have any comments or thoughts about how the Celtics are doing, put them on down below. And as always, hit that like and subscribe.
Until next time.